and welcome to The Art of Decluttering. I'm Amy Revell, your host, and today is the final episode in our 101 series. If you are a new listener to the podcast, welcome. You'll see there's 450 odd episodes that you can go back to and listen to all the way from the start if you'd like to. However, I'm conscious that maybe you don't have hundreds and hundreds of hours and you're ready to get into your decluttering and organising. You're ready to get started and you're like, okay, Amy, tell me, where do I go? Where do I start? What I have done is created this 101 series for you. And what it is a series of episodes that go through each major room in your home and gives you the tips and tricks to declutter and organise that space. What I've created to go alongside each of these weeks is a decluttering checklist and an organising cheat sheet so that you can kind of get the high level ideas. You can go through and like tick things off. Yep, I've decluttered that. And then the organising tips that I think would be helpful. So you can start with today. You can start with your garage, or you can go all the way back to kitchen and bedrooms and pantry and all of the spaces. Do it however works for you, but make sure that you sign up to the course so that you can access all the free downloadables that go alongside the course. And so what we've done is kind of work through how I would work through in a full client home. So if I went into a new client's house and they were like, we want everything done, what I would generally do is work through the house. And then as the final session, we would hit the garage. And so that's what I wanted to do with you today is talk through the garage. If you have been following along and you have been decluttering your home each room as we go, or maybe you're taking a couple of weeks to do each room, however it has worked for you, I want to go, okay, garage. The reason we do the garage last is because often we use the garage as somewhat of a holding zone while we're decluttering the house. And so you might be in a room and you're getting rid of a bedside table, but you might use that elsewhere. And so it goes into the garage to be stored. Now, what I want to do is kind of say right out front is I've never lived in a house with a garage. Just putting that out there. And you may not have either. You may live in inner suburbia where you may have a car park. You may be in the, far outer suburbs where there is no garage. You just park your car anywhere out the front that you want. You might be like me in the burbs where you've got a house, but you don't have a garage. You just park either in the driveway or on the street. So if you don't have a garage, that doesn't mean that this episode isn't for you, because as I go through each of these different kind of categories that we keep in garages, there will be somewhere that you probably keep them. It might be under the stairs. It might be in a carport. It might be in a shed out the back. It might be in your laundry. It might be in your spare room. So have a think not just about the space of the garage, although I am going to talk about that specifically today. I also want you to think about the actual items that go in there. You'll have to excuse my voice if it's a bit croaky today. They've been burning off in Melbourne, and as an asthmatic, when they burn off, I get a croaky voice. So I hope that you will excuse that. And I'm not unwell. I'm just trying to deal with air pollution is where it's at. Okay, so the types of things that you might have in your garage, you might have pool or beach toys, surfboards, bodyboards, you might have pool cleaning supplies, Christmas decorations, seasonal decorations like Halloween. You might have a tent, a camper trailer, camping supplies, folding chairs, a trestle table, a lawnmower, a whippersnipper. You might have a roof rack. You might have gardening stuff like a leaf blower. You might have toolboxes and hand tools and power tools and car supplies, bikes and scooters and helmets. You might have suitcases in there. You might have sporting supplies. You might have golf clubs, or you might have tennis rackets or balls. You might have lots of paint if you've been doing renos, or painting, or house supplies like tiles. You might have your personal memorabilia boxes, so kind of your history has been put in there because it doesn't belong anywhere else. Lots and lots of houses have old furniture. I'll talk a bit about that in a minute. You might have rubbish and recycling which hasn't made your weekly collection, and so you've kind of got a backlog. You might have holiday equipment like snow gear or jet skis or life vests or fishing rods. Your garage is often the place where hobbies meet overflow, meet like seasonal things that you're not using very often. People don't generally use their garage for like high rotation things. If you've got a fridge in the garage, for instance, it'll be like the occasional drinks or the overflow. If you keep some grocery items in the garage, it might be that you bought things in bulk. So usually it's things that you're not having to go to super regularly, but that when you do need them, let's make it so you can find them, and let's make it so you can put it away when you're done, so you don't do what probably you're doing at the moment, which is taking something in and going, oh, it belongs in the garage, and you just kind of push it to the side. What I've seen in so many garages is if you kind of open up the big garage door and you've got 3 solid walls. So you've got the garage door where you drive in, and then you've got side, and front. And usually side, and front have about a metre of space coming out of each wall, which is cluttered. And it might have shelving or cupboards, or it might just have tools and equipment and bikes. And it's those spaces that can very quickly kind of come in and make the garage smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where you're like, well, we can't fit 2 cars, but at least we've got 1 car in there. And then there's a project that happens, and so you need to use a bit of the space, or you might have a parent that passes away, and so some of their things might come to your house and get stored in the garage, and all of a sudden your cars now do not live in the garage. And when you think about it, garages are literally where you're meant to keep your cars. Your cars are probably your most expensive asset. And so if you think about like, okay, if I don't want to keep my most expensive, possession, the thing that I own in the place that it's meant to be, where it's going to be protected, where it's cool to get into, it's not wet, it's, safe from vandalism or being stolen or all of the things. If you choose not to put your car in your garage, decide what the purpose of your garage is going to be. Is it that you want to set up a home gym? Is it that you want to have a teenage retreat? Is it that you want to actually use it for storage? Is it that you're running a small business out of your garage? I think one of the challenges that people fall into is it's either for your cars or it's the dumping zone. And so making a decision about what you want your garage space to be. And so it might be like, what do I want my shed space to be? What do I want my understair space to be? What do I want the spare room to be? By having purpose, it stops it being this dumping zone of like, oh, I don't know quite where it goes. And so the garage becomes the reciprocal place for that. All right, I'm going to go through heaps more in just a minute. Let's have a quick break and I'll be back before you know it. One of the things I would use to describe a garage is it's where items go to semi-retire. It's like that you don't really need them anymore, but you're hesitant to actually get rid of them. You're hesitant to fully retire that piece of furniture or those memorabilia items or the paperwork or whatever it would be. So here's a rule that I use and encourage clients to use. If something sits in a garage space unused for more than 12 months, you can definitely let it go. If there is a bike that nobody's riding and it's been over 12 months, let it go. If you've got a mobility scooter that nobody has needed in 12 months, let it go. If you've got fishing rods, nobody's using them, it's been 12 months, let it go. If you keep old furniture in your garage, welcome, because so many people do that. I'm sure if I had a garage, I'd be tempted to do the same. But the reason you have the furniture in your garage is because you have semi-retired it. You don't want it in the house. And if you don't want it in the house and you don't need it in the garage, what, pray tell, is the reason that you're keeping it? So if you decide that you're getting rid of getting rid of furniture and you think to yourself, I know, I'll just put it in the garage, stop and think, okay, I don't need to semi-retire this. I need to get rid of it, and I need to get rid of it now because otherwise it's going to sit here for forever. So if you have old furniture sitting in your garage now, get rid of it as soon as possible. That will make a huge difference to how you view and use the space of your garage. So many families have a bed head that's been unassembled sitting in the garage, or a mattress, or a couch, or a bookshelf. Let it go, find somewhere to donate it to, take it to the tip if it needs to so that you can reclaim that space. And while we're talking about space, I talked about how the sides and the front of the garage often have things just coming out of the walls. I would encourage you, like if your garage does need some things stored in it, totally reasonable. You might find that it's the only reasonable place that your kids' bikes can live, or the only reasonable place that the Halloween or the Christmas decorations can go. Consider using shelving and hooks so you get things up off the ground. So shelves are great because it means that you can see and access things. If you use clear plastic containers, label what is inside, what that will do is you can stack them on a shelf. Whereas if you just get containers and stack them on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other, not only do you risk breaking some of the containers because the weight just gets perpetually heavier the further you go down, But you also just can't access them super easily. If you find something that belongs in the second to bottom box, you are not going to take off 3 boxes on top, to take off the lid, to put it in, to then pack the other 3 boxes on top. What you're probably going to do is put it next to it, put it on top of it, put it somewhere else. Shelves mean that the box that you need, you can grab, open the lid, put it in and slide it straight back in. And so shelving in a garage is awesome. You can get some really reasonably priced shelving at Bunnings, IKEA, Kmart. Lots of places have storage that you can use in the garage. And just use that space well. Think about, okay, what are there that won't fit in a container? Okay, the fishing rods, probably not going to fit in a container, but what if they're all just along a shelf? Or my camping chairs, silly to put them in a container, but if I've got one spot where they all live, then that's awesome. The other thing you can do is use hooks. So shelves kind of give you easy access. Hooks keep awkwardly shaped and sometimes dangerous things off the floor. If you've got a chainsaw or you've got a sharp just manual saw, if you've got a shovel, if you've got picks and, gardening things, having those up on the walls out of the reach of little fingers or where they could fall and scratch the car or, there's so many things that can go wrong when you've got dangerous or awkward items. Having hooks for them right along the sides lifts them up and actually gives you space underneath, which is perfect so that your garage doesn't feel really cluttered. And it also means you're going to know exactly where to find it when you need it. Yeah, it's so frustrating when you can't find the one thing you need. We recently needed a shovel, and because we had taken down our shed and we really don't have any external storage to the house, we couldn't find the shovel, and we were like, oh, that's right, we put it under the house and we found it. But we were about to go to Bunnings and buy a brand new shovel. And I know, because I'm in your homes all the time, is that is really common. It's like, oh, we couldn't find that thing, and so we went and bought it. We couldn't find the pool pump, and so we had to go and get a new one, or we couldn't find the whippersnipper, and so I bought a new one. Sometimes it can just be the little bits that you can't find. And so again, these containers where you can put items in it and go sprinkler system parts or watering or planting or whatever it is, you can separate it out. You might have one that's just for mending the bike tires, and it might have pumps in there and patches and all of these things. If you can see them, you're much more likely to grab them and then not waste your money. And then when it comes to storage, I really want to encourage you not to just use cardboard boxes in your garage, because so many times I've just had clients who have been devastated by flooding, by water, by mold, by mice, by pests, by spider infestations, because cardboard boxes don't protect the contents inside from any of those things, and even as basic as dust. So if you have clear sealed plastic containers, you can elevate them off the ground, you can have them on shelves. They're not allowing mice to get in, dust isn't getting inside, mold isn't getting inside. And so you've got to think, if it's really important enough for you to keep, may I encourage you, it's important enough for you to invest in some containers so that you protect those items. What I'm not saying is a garage should only have your cars in it and nothing else. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's how you live unless you're a minimalist, in which case you don't need me to tell you that that's a great way to use your garage. But if you are like 99% of people with garages, or you've got spaces in your home that kind of attract all these things, and there's a bit of gym equipment and a bit of this and a bit of that, have a think about how you can get things up onto shelving. How can you get things in hooks? And ultimately, how can you stop storing things that you just don't need? How can you stop storing old clothes that you're never going to wear again? How can you stop storing books that you're never going to read again? Or kids' clothes that they've outgrown, or kids' toys that they're not going to want to go back to and look over? Or maybe you're storing car parts for cars that you no longer own. Be really objective when you're going through your garage, and be okay with getting rid of stuff. A lot of the stuff in your garage is not going to be donatable. It may be ruined, or the reason it's in your garage is because it was broken, or it wasn't working, or it needed fixing. Maybe it's okay just to say, you know what, we're going to work towards a clean slate. We're going to get through this, we're going to clear out the space, and then we're going to have a clear purpose. It's going to be the home gym, or it's going to be the home office, or the storage, or maybe we're going to park the cars in there. Maybe you've got a boat that you want to put in there, or a camper van, or a trailer. Use your garage wisely. use it how you're going to be able to access things, but how it's of best value to you. And remember that your cars or your motorbike or your caravan are probably some of the most expensive items that you own. And so maybe it is worth having them put away and protected and locked away. And if you have had your car parked on the street or in the driveway or under a carport, and you now have the ability to put it in a garage, can I recommend that you call your insurance company and let them know? They may be able to drop your premium cost, because you are then taking better protection of it, which reduces the risk, which hopefully will then reduce your premiums that you need to pay each year. I have absolutely loved doing this series with you. I hope it's a series that lots of people can come back to. If you have someone in your world that's a bit like, oh yeah, I do need to do some decluttering and stuff, can I ask you a huge favor for them and also for me is just send them to the 101 series. Just say, hey, I've been listening to a great podcast. Here's where I recommend you start. Start at the first 101 episode, because that really gives people like the how-to. You know, what I've done is all the way from kitchen, pantry, laundry, bathroom, bedroom, wardrobe, living room, toys, home office, and garage is taken 450 episodes of the podcast and put as much value into each of those episodes as possible, as well as the cheat sheets and the checklists. And I really want to have this as a resource for you, but also a resource that you can recommend to others and provide to others so they too can experience the freedom that it comes from letting go of the stuff and decluttering in their homes. The good news is, at the end of this series, there's so many more topics for me to talk about. By no means is this the end of the podcast. Some weeks I feel like I'm just getting started. I look and think, I don't know how I've done 450 episodes, and yet there's still so much to say. But I've been writing down so many ideas for episodes while we've been going through this 101 series that I think will be awesome assets to your mindset and to your understanding and to tips and tricks in different spaces. You know, we didn't get to cover paperwork at all in this 101 series. So keep your eye out for some more things on paperwork. And if you are someone who's like, you know what, this has all been good and now I'm struggling with like my motivation or my mindset around things, or what are some tools so that I can make better use of my time, what I really want to do is invite you to my Head, Heart and Home course. That's a course that's been running through the Art of Decluttering for probably 5 or 6 years, maybe even 7 years. It's our most popular course, and it takes you through all the tools that you need in order to achieve success and freedom from clutter. And so that takes you through like education and motivation, mindset. It takes you through time hacks, the actions required to do the decluttering, and then also the habits required to maintain the work that you've done. And so the combination of this 101 series and my Head, Heart and Home course is really, really powerful and will help you to unlock everything you need to experience true freedom from clutter. And so I invite you to do that. I'll put a link in the show notes. But the good news is the course is only $247. So if you were looking to have someone from my team come out and help you in any of these spaces, we would love to come and help you. And you'd be looking at around $150 an hour or $600 for a 4-hour session, which is awesome because you get the extra hands, you get the accountability, the motivation, the experience. It's really, really high value. If it's something that you feel that you could tackle on your own, consider purchasing the Head, Heart and Home course for $247. And you'll have all the teaching and so many resources, and then you can do it on your own. And then if you do need help in any area, you can just reach out and let us know, and we'd love to work on that with you. So I hope it's been helpful. I would love you to jump onto your podcast app and leave a review of how you found this series. It's taken me, a lot of work and effort to put this together. And if you're thinking, oh, how do I say thank you? Which I totally know that's what you were just thinking. Is jump on it and leave a review. Even if you jump onto Google reviews or you jump into Facebook reviews, leave a review somewhere to tell people about how this has been for you and the freedom that you have found. And until next week, when we're onto all new, brand new topics, enjoy the freedom. I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, who are the traditional custodians of the land this podcast is recorded on. I would also like to pay respects to their elders, both past and present, of the Kulin Nation, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love you to rate and review the show on your podcast app. That will help others to find the Art of Decluttering podcast as well. If you'd like any more information, you can visit theartofdecluttering.com.au, and I would love to see you in my Facebook group. Just search the Art of Decluttering community on Facebook and join today. I hope that you have an incredible rest of your day and enjoy the freedom.